In a quiet village, nestled in the heart of Igbo land, Doris, a beautiful and intelligent young woman, sat anxiously on the porch of her family home. Her parents had just announced that she was to marry Uchenna, a successful businessman from a neighboring village. Doris barely knew him, having met him only once during a formal family gathering. Despite her reservations, Doris trusted her parents' judgment and agreed to the arrangement, hoping that with time she might grow fond of him. Uchenna too had been raised in a family where marriage was considered a duty. He had been told that Doris was a well-respected and kind woman. And although they had not spent much time together, he knew he had to fulfill his family's wishes. As he prepared for the wedding, Uchenna's thoughts were filled with uncertainty. What if they didn't get along? What if the love everyone had talked about didn't come? The wedding day arrived in a full splendor, with family members from all over the region present. Doris wore a traditional white gown, and Uchenna looked every bit the part of a devoted groom. The ceremony was beautiful but formal. They exchanged vows, spoke their promises, and smiled for the camera. But there was no spark between them. Doris' heart was filled with a strange mix of apprehension and hope, while Uchenna remained distant and overwhelmed by the pressure to fulfill his family's expectations. The first few days of their marriage was filled with silence. Doris moved into Uchenna's spacious home, where the air was cold and unfamiliar. She spent her days trying to adjust to her new life, but Uchenna was always busy with work, leaving her to navigate the house on her own. Despite the vast house, Doris felt lonely. She missed her family and her old life, and wondered how long it would take before she could feel at home in her marriage. Uchenna, on the other hand, felt guilty, gunning at him. He had married Doris because it was expected, but he didn't know her, and he certainly didn't know how to talk to her. He spent long hours at the office, avoiding the uncomfortable silence at home. He felt bad for not giving Doris the attention she deserved. Yet, he wasn't sure how to bridge the gap between them. One morning, Doris decided to make Uchenna's favorite meal, a traditional stew she had learned how to cook from her mother. She spent hours preparing it, hoping it would break the ice between them. When Uchenna returned home, exhausted from work, he was surprised to find her waiting with a warm dish on the table. He looked at the meal, then looked at her, and finally said, "Thank you." It wasn't much, but Doris felt a small sense of connection. At least he had acknowledged her effort. After that, Doris felt encouraged. Over the next few days, she started leaving books around the house, hoping Uchenna might pick one up. When he did, they found themselves discussing the stories in the evening. Doris shared her favorite authors, and Uchenna began to listen more intently, opening up about his own interests. Slowly, they began to find common ground. One evening, as they were both sitting in the living room, Uchenna knocked over his drink. Doris couldn't help but laugh. It was a small funny moment, and for the first time, they both smiled. The formality between them lifted slightly. They spent the next hour talking, laughing at Uchenna's clumsy behavior, and finding more ways to connect. Doris started to realize that perhaps Uchenna wasn't as cold as she had thought. Days turned into weeks, and Uchenna slowly started to open up. He confessed to Doris that he had been afraid of falling as a husband. He told her that he wasn't sure if he could make her happy. Doris, touched by his weakness, reassured him. telling him that all she wanted was a true connection and they had time to get to know each other. This honest conversation marked the first time they began to see each other not as strangers but as two people navigating the new chapter together. As they began to support each other, Doris found herself opening up as well. Uchenna became a soundboard for her dreams, and she in turn helped him make difficult decisions in his business. The more they supported one another, the more Doris realized that Uchenna wasn't just fulfilling his duty, he was becoming someone she could depend on. She began to see the quiet strength in him, and with each passing day, her respect for him grew. One day, Uchenna took Doris to a village festival. She was delighted to join the traditional dances, and as she moved with joy and pride, Uchenna stood at the edge of the crowd, captivated. He had never seen her so free, so alive. In that moment, he knew there was more to her than what he had imagined. He admired her grace, her spirit, and the love she had for their culture. This sparked something between Uchenna that he hadn't expected, an attraction he hadn't recognized before. Not long after, Uchenna surprised Doris with a gift. It was a gold necklace, one she had once admired in the market. Doris was stunned. The fact that he had remembered such a small detail and made efforts to buy her the necklace touched her deeply. This gesture was a turning point for Doris, and she realized that Uchenna had been paying attention to her all along, even when she thought he wasn't. Their bond deepened. Uchenna invited Doris to his hometown for a short getaway. Getting away from the hustle of everyday life, they spent time exploring nature, sharing their dreams and talking about everything they had discussed before. The trip allowed them to relax and find a new rhythm in their relationship. But soon after, Doris fell ill. It wasn't anything serious, but Uchenna took the opportunity to show her just how much he cared. He stayed by her side, caring for her and watching over her with devotion she had never expected. Doris, touched by his love and attention, realized that this man whom she had once seen as a stranger had become someone she was deeply in love with. One night, after he recovered, Uchenna sat beside her on the couch and confessed, "Doris, I never imagined I could love you the way I do now. You have changed my life in ways I never thought possible." Doris, her heart full, looked into his eyes and said, "I love you too." Uchenna, I never imagined how much love could grow from where we started. Their love, once born out of duty, had transformed into something real, something beautiful. They had taken time to understand each other, and in doing so, they had built a strong foundation for the future. In the years that followed, Doris and Uchenna created a life with love, laughter, and mutual respect. They became the pillars of the society, not just as a married couple, but as an example of how love can flourish when two people are patient, honest, and devoted. Their story was no longer just about an arranged marriage. It was about the transformative power of love, devotion, and the beauty of growing together. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click on the notification bell so you would never miss an update. Thank you.